Yes.
Do we have
Do you have what?
small cater catcher?
I think so.
I don't think you do. Might be wrong.
All right, I don't know if you guys even realize this, but this is a whole new chapter right here. It's totally different here. We have now gone from the build to bettering.
Bettering the build.
Bettering the build. Yeah, we've broken stuff, and at that point, I would say we've now turned the page. It is a new chapter in whole Cater Tots life here. So we got a whole bunch of new parts, and we had some people send us stuff in. We got a lot of stuff we got to cover, man. I'm actually really, really excited about bettering some of the problems that we had. We got a whole bunch of other things. We got some goodies from K-Tune, of which I am so excited to share with you guys. They got some really, really awesome stuff. All right, so our last time out with this thing, we launched it and we broke second gear, or right as we were actually doing the burnout, second gear was messed up. I mean, everybody at some point or another had a problem with second gear. And it kind of turns out that you guys had said something and we greatly appreciated. I think it was the slave is kind of delaying how it goes into second, and eventually, well, we're going to have a problem with second. So we got some things coming. We're going to rebuild that trans and possibly go another direction with that. Reached out and K-Tune helped us out a ton, and we have changed the slave and it doesn't have a delay valve in it anymore. That should help us quite a bit in order to be able to get in second gear. Now, not only to mention that though, there's a couple of other things of which go along with that. Now, dude, that is the most wicked freaking shifter I think I've probably ever seen. That's ridiculous, dude.
Sick, right?
Yeah, it is, honestly.
Check out that undercarriage.
And the cables flagged. So hopefully that'll go right in, man, from where we already have our stuff. Let's check that out real quick here. Let me see this. Wow. All right, so if you guys notice in here too, these guys did a whole bunch of different wiring too, and trying to make this thing a lot safer. I mean, before we were kind of just a wing and a prayer, hoping that this thing would
not catch on fire.
Yeah. So we've stepped our game up, dude. That looks so much better.
We did get the high boost and low boost mixed up though, so we're gonna have to learn that one. Yeah, look at this baby.
Yeah, that is nice, man. I really, really can't wait for this. So this should be a little bit shorter of a throw, but gosh, man, I love the way this thing is set up so much. Not only with this shifter right here, we got a different bushing as well, which is supposed to kind of fix some of the play.
They're nice too.
They said that should really, really help out, and there was a lot of play in that factory bushing. So we did as much transfer of factory stuff from the TSX over to this as we possibly could. George got the bushings in right there. Those are really, really nice. And guys, with this motor out, honestly, this is so nice and clean, seriously. I mean, we have one little area there and then one little area right there through our firewall. Firewall's doing what it really should do. Yeah. So if we have any sort of problem, we really only have two potential areas where fire can kind of lick around right there. Now, this being a whole different chapter and everything, we're going to try and better all of our little, you know, kind of rickety, hacked up things like our roof and our inlet for our intake and all that. But hey, one thing at a time. This was really, really effective going to our turbo. And you know what? That turbo's got some funk in it.
Yeah, I saw that.
I actually wiped out a little bit of this a little bit earlier, and I was kind of surprised how much was there. So not only obviously there, but everything through the induction. It's kind of surprising. Oh man, when did we hit that?
That was,
oh, that's right. I caught Craig. Yeah, that's right.
I was doing the wheelies.
Meanwhile, Lass and George are going to pull the motor. Let's watch them fill this table full of tools and parts. These guys are pretty good. They certainly try and be very meticulous in what they do and catch all the fluids without making that much of a mess. Now, we might not be SmartCar engineers, But this thing is really not that complex to tear apart. Start to finish, these guys got this all pulled and down in 53 minutes. Somehow or another, George acquired this pallet jack. I'm not asking questions here now, but man, around the shop, this thing has been incredibly convenient. And just like that, we're a few steps away from finding out what went wrong in the trans. I'm always curious to find out what happens in an autopsy.
All right, so as we discovered with messing around with Cater Tot, trying to do some burnouts, we knew there wasn't going to have any airflow there. So, well, we discussed about putting some fans on there. A gentleman sent these fans into us, and I'm really, really excited to hear how these things work out.
That's it. That's all you get.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll do. Wow. All right. Yeah, that's, I'm excited. So what should we do? We kind of got to build a shroud then or something for it, right?
I don't know if we want to shroud it, just because then you're forcing all the movement air to go through the fans at speed. I was almost thinking we can go through and just use the regular fan mounts and drill these, because they're pre-drilled on the inside. So we could just drill them and use those zip tie mounts.
All right, so in regards to doing a fan and a shroud, I really do like the idea of something like a radiator. And
It has the relief flaps in it.
Right. So if we're going, and we had actually recorded something, I wanted to throw it in there, and I couldn't find the right spot, but we're going to revisit that right now. So this is perfect. This is perfect, because I really wanted to put that clip in there. We just couldn't, so yeah. All right, so Laz, let's say it again here. We know that we were talking about whenever you have a fan, and if it is running and you're exceeding that airflow in mile an hour,
It's going to be a blockage. You're not going to have as good of airflow as you would if you didn't have a fan.
absolutely. So as a solution for that,
The little shutter doors.
yeah, so I mean, when the fans are on, and if we're doing burnouts, we're not having good positive pressure there. If we have a little flap there and it closes under, well, when the fans are on. Now, if we're exceeding that airflow, like we're going 80, 90 miles an hour, and we're really pushing that through, then that little, it's like a trap door in a way, you know? So I want to try and see if we can utilize that, see if we can make that happen.
So not a 5-minute install, but now we got like a...
Yeah, it's like 5-hour install now, yeah. So on that note, though, I think that's going to be the best overall solution. We might be able to do that with some sort of, we've seen them with the ABS plastic, but also there's like that fabric that,
like a rubber.
yeah, it's kind of a matte. That would probably be a good solution. We'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it, but we'll probably start doing some of that. Now I see done some of the wiring for this right here. So let's
put in relays. We just put in one more relay and ran a large power back for all these fans to run off of.
All right, well, let's go through the front, and you guys did a lot of other wirings. All right, so I like this right here. That's pretty sharp. Well, we're going to probably relocate our air fuel, and we have all of our different buttons. So kind of run us through real quick here what we got here.
Okay. Same as what we had before, actually similar to the truck. So we got main ignition on. That's going to power up all the switches so they have power now, including your starter button. So up on this, it's a momentary up. That's going to crank it. Next important, fans. This one's empty still. This is a different switch. This is your high-low on your boost. This one I believe I have hooked up to the rear fans, and then these two I was going to leave for lights.
Okay. Yeah, we definitely need lights to get this thing back a little more legal.
I did drop the power wires down for this guy too, so I'm going to have it working.
Oh, nice.
So you have a little map light, because I know my Jeep's horrible. I hate not having a light.
Yeah.
Don't know where the pipe is right now, but I took a piece of 1.5 inch PVC and notched down the length of it on the back.
I noticed there was some cut up PVC here somewhere.
Okay, and actually I laid it in over this. And it can mount at the bottom, but the top like finish on it's not that great looking. But I was just trying to get a like tube to cover these wires.
Gotcha.
We'll just have to let you look at it and see if we want to use it or not.
Whatever it is, it's going to be better than green zip ties.
Well, those are like every time I added a wire, I had to re-zip tie them and then cut off the old ones kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those will get tied up to the fuses. The relays are temporarily mounted.
Did you see the fuse box down there?
We got 2 fuse blocks. The jumper wire in the middle is just temporary. I haven't actually ran power to it yet because I've got to figure out what size supply I want to run to those fuse blocks.
Yeah, and then not only that, I mean, one of the first things I noticed was that we got the ECU mounted back here, which is so much nicer than like basically kicking it or it being under the seat where we were.
There's our PVC.
Ah,
Yeah, so you actually have like a clean floor now other than all my junk there.
lots of green zip ties, I see.
Lots of green zip ties.
I mean, anything other than black zip ties, in my opinion, is kind of like a sin. That's just, sorry, that's the way I am, you know?
We have a idea to make a hat for the fuel pump access.
Right.
So we're going to go through that later, and that'll be a nice, you know, we want to seal that off and have that sealed from the driver's compartment.
Gotcha.
And this stuff, in case we got to pull the firewall, it's just Velcro.
Oh, man. I like that. Kind of reminds me of my shoes when I was like 6 years old. How about you, George? Did you have Velcro shoes?
I had lights on them too.
You're still
Did
at Velcro.
Oh, man.
Tuning cable, your little K-tune box.
Yeah, those are VSS converter. Yep.
George tied up all the wires all nice.
Dude, that is a lot nicer, though, for
So
sure.
that's PCM relay, fuel pump relay, and I think the other one's a second PCM relay back here.
So major changes here on old Cater Tot here. Now, as we have this engine pulled, we have to be able to fix the trans. So I called a friend up in Pennsylvania, of which I knew him as a K-Series guy. I didn't have any idea that he kind of ran a business, you know, selling a whole bunch of K-Series parts. This gentleman from way back, we had actually street raced years ago, a full bolt-on C6Z06, and we smoked him in his turbo RSX. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Couldn't let you get away with that.
Got some sick new parts on it.
Oh my gosh, it looks so much better too.
Billet. Look at that billet oil cap, dude.
Dude, watching all of the Boosted Boys stuff and seeing all those really cool parts that they had on their K-Series stuff, oh my gosh, dude, that fuel rail totally
I mean, look
makes
at
a
this
difference.
dipstick, dude. It's got a dip. It's got a hold down. It's billet.
That is
Whoa.
so much nicer. That orange
Oil.
nasty thing. So the factory one, this is just a big screaming flag right there. I don't even know. We got to get that orange thing off of there. So I think we made the right call with all the silver stuff. So much prettier. Pretty much everything on this is like silver black, or we got a little bit of blue with the valve cover. But other than that,
Fuel World has a sick placement for the gauge. It just loops right around the bottom. Like, that's freaking awesome.
yeah, it was pretty wild. So our old fuel pressure gauge, we could no longer see once we put the firewall up. That makes it a little bit easier to see right there. So good thing to keep an eye on. We're running a little bit more fuel pressure than what Brent would normally see, but that's kind of, it's LS1 style pressure. So
You think K-Tune might be interested in offering a
yeah, we'll make him a
roll
trade.
cable bracket for an LS throttle body? You know, just in case.
We can make it a thing. We'll have to hit up our boys at K-Tuned. We're going in a different direction now, just trying to better all of our things and or make things just a little bit nicer, cleaner, and more functional than what we were when we initially threw this thing together and we're fighting all the demons. So, man, I really, really, really wanted one of these. I just really think it, you know, dresses it up quite a bit. Can't wait to get this turbo blanket on there, man. Oof. Everything's going to look so much better with all the stuff on there. All right, Georgie, what do you think of that shifter, man?
This thing is off the wall, dude. Look at it. We got our bushings in there, our stock bushings. It just goes right there.
So just pop the other one right out. I know that we had those drilled and threaded right there. It was so sweet how Ben had that all set up. Dude, that is going to be the nicest thing in the whole car.
Perfectly CNC'd and machined.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little detail work with how you're, you know, putting that thing all together, dude. It is really, really nice. So with this shifter and with our new bushings, and now, Laz, we just found out, actually just a moment ago, we got our tranny in.
Yep.
Guys, we're not really Honda guys. We're not at all. We're not Honda guys at all, but hey, we're learning.
It's all nuts and bolts.
Like I just learned.
Well, look, I'm a Honda guy now, okay, but I'm learning here, so I'm a newbie, and this is really interesting here. So we're going to talk really nerdy to you here. I just did some calculations on my phone, and with our old setup, so guys, this trans right here had a 476 rear end ratio, and with the tires of what we were running, the OEM tires were, I believe, a 26-inch tall tire. Now, what we were running at the track was a 23.8-inch tall tire, so we would have lost top end, and we would have had to shift into fifth gear. Never do I really want to shift into fifth going down the quarter. So we're trying to prepare this thing in order to be able to go make a good push, go down the quarter mile. So the 476 gear is a lot. I went and I called up my buddy in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and he got us a different trans and a different gear. So we have two different options here. We're going to try and rebuild this guy and put a 438 ratio out of another transmission. It's kind of like Legos. I didn't really see how all this stuff can interchange, but we now need to take that 438, weld that up, and put that in that trans. That should be able to get us approximately from about 119 mile an hour at our rev limit right there to about 129 miles an hour, which that still puts us going into 5th gear. Now there is a couple options. Maybe, just maybe, we can take this 5-speed tranny, which is out of an 03 to 07 Accord, and if we put those gears in there, that changes things dramatically. That one comes with a 438 rear end ratio. However, the 4th gear, as you'll notice, is a 0.87 instead of a 1.03. That would make the top speed in 4th gear almost 153 miles an hour, which is crazy. Lads, we're going to need a lot more power in order to go 153. Yeah, I think we're going to have a built engine for that, buddy. It is really fascinating how you can mix and match different parts, different gears, and so on and so forth between the 5- and 6-speed transmissions. At the moment, we need to get this thing up and running though, get our trans all fixed, so, well, we also bought a main shaft and 2nd gear and a shift fork so that we can be able to fix this trans. This right here is our TSX 6-speed, and that is the bracket that Kyle made. And right here, this is our Accord 5-speed. We did have to cut this part off in order to make that all work. However, it looks like there's a couple different small differences. I mean, that solenoid deal is a little bit different, but I don't think we're going to have a...
That's a reverse lockout, or what that is?
Yeah, that's very possible. However, it just kind of occurred to me after what we had spoke about here with the gearing that we could be able to take that 476 diff that's already welded and be able to put that in there, and that might be able to get that. So let's do a quick little calculation here. All right, fellas, I think that is going to do the job right there. So we got our 476 rear end ratio with our 8,200 RPM rev limit, which is what we have, and our 23.8 inch 5 tall tire sitting over there. We have our Accord gearing right there. That is 140 miles an hour at the top of 4th gear, and that, lads, is what I think I think this is what this thing will do. And given we might have a little bit of tire growth, I think this thing will probably do about 142. I'm just, you know.
You want to do 142 in this?
Man, yeah. We're not ready to go 142 yet, but maybe 115, yeah, maybe so. But that's about as fast as I think I've been. I think Brent probably went about 120. Because he was at the top of 4th before on that other gear ratio. But, dude, all that gearing right there is pretty significantly different, but I really like it. That might be it. And at the moment, we don't have our different gear and our different main shaft for that trans, so honestly, the hot ticket would be to take that trans apart, take the diff out of that, throw that in that diff. That might be our solution. We might be able to go racing on Wednesday.
Oh, goodness.
Dude, that is so nice. I just can't get over it. It is so far above everything else in the car. It's really classing up old Cater Tot here, you know.
Yeah, I just noticed it had this adjustment too, and I was fighting with it for a while, and this helps big time.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet.
That is, because, you know, especially for a regular car, you know, all cars are a little bit different, so you can get it perfect, you know, no fitment issues like me in the seat.
Laz was complaining about the...
I'd have my shoes off.
Oh, man. How did shoes make the difference? I just don't understand.
It's like my foot only bent back so far, and to get it past the pedal, I was like right at the edge of it, so take the shoe off, and I was able to slide over.
You know what they say, the shoes make a man. Or is that a woman?
All right, as I mentioned a little bit earlier here, the demise of our 2nd gear and in our 6-speed that came in the TSX most likely can be traced to this fellow here. Not this one. This is the replacement one from K-Tune. So basically with that slave, that gets rid of the delay valve. I think this is based off an 02 Civic, and the one that we had in there had a delay. So we couldn't get it into 2nd. It's your fastest shift pretty much.
Told that 2nd gear in these Honda trannies is like a troublesome gear all the time.
And apparently pretty much all of these are made of glass. So we're doing the best that we can. That is supposed to be a beefier solution, but I think...
tempered glass?
Tempered? Yeah, maybe. However, right now this is the best solution of what we have, and we're going to try and make this thing work. I mean, the fact that this is so much lighter than most vehicles a lot of the guys that were helping us out seem to think that should work out well.
A lot lighter than an Accord, but a lot more power.
It is. All right, so just as Laz had said, we can take a close look at these bolts here. He was just mentioning that not to forget the fact that these are the black anodized bolts here and these ones are not. So chances are these are standard thread and these guys are the reverse thread. So that is the problem. Brett and I went through 3 before I found out that, hey, that's not how you do that.
We have experience at it, so.
Yeah. Live and learn. So we're gonna take this guy out.
Lift with your legs?
I lift with my back.
That's the other option.
So here's our quandary here. We're gonna take the diff out of that guy and put it in here.
Attempt to.
Yeah, attempt to. So,
And our brand new untouched.
yeah, I'm gonna actually have to make another phone call because we're gonna need another piece right here out of this. I don't want to put it back together if in fact we do have a bent shift fork for, I think it's the 1-2. First and second gear is one shift fork, and then 2 or 3-4, and then 5-6. So let's figure that out. Okay. Yeah, we're trying to go racing on Wednesday is the thing, so. Okay, man.
Fail.
Bye. Well, you had good intentions.
Wow. Oh, well.
So Laz and I are sitting here, a bunch of rookies, you know, wishing we had a pro here to do this, so. Oh, hey, check this out real quick. This is interesting. This guy, remember we had this problem pulling this guy off? This thing's all ate up and stuff. We just had to do a little video conference with our boy Brent. So pretty much everything needs to be, just everything.
Yeah. Not all of it.
We got 2. That's our third. Yeah, let's get these guys back together. We don't want to lose these fellers.
I don't see what you broke.
Elias, you get there.
You wouldn't even go into gear sitting still.
Well, that's what all this is from. You
Oh, yeah.
guys bashing the gear and they're trying to get it to go and it was broke. Yep, there's the problem.
Is that pieces of sinker or? No. So I think Brent was saying, yeah, we get little.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, look at that. That's part of our speed sensor right there too. So I wonder if our speed sensor had a. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like dropping sorts of shrapnel and stuff in there. Oh yeah. All right. So when this guy, Laz, when we go back in, this has to be facing. This is why Brent and I had this on like 3 or 4 times. There's a bolt that holds that in, and it's got to be
Perfect.
yeah, got to be right on. All right. So we should be able to just take, like before we just pulled our stack out, laid it off to the side, got the diff, but at least the short-term solution is take that diff, put it in that trans, and that should be able to get us. First gear's like the same. I think it's like 2nd through 4th are all different.
Well, that'll be pretty nice having longer gears.
Yeah, if we put this gear in that tranny, it's 140 mile an hour at the top of 4th, which is like, honestly, I was hoping.
Then you want to go.
Well, yeah, but I mean that should be kind of more in line with what I think it should. Trap should be somewhere in the upper 130s.
That's cooking in that thing.
It says SmartCar on it.
Well, we caught some stuff. Why don't you give? Ooh, there's some nice solids up in there.
That's just assembly.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, I don't know about that coop. When it's all spiky and it looks like hair's growing on that thing, I don't know, man.
It's fine.
Pick her up all at once. Yeah, just go lower, Laz. Oh yeah, there you go. Where are we gonna put it? Just like right here.
In your pocket.
That's got to be a big pocket.
I got pouch like a kangaroo type of thing.
Is you a marsupial? Ever since you've been to Australia, you haven't been the same.
Is mammal.
Here, I'm gonna try and grab it again, and I'm gonna give you a hand because it's like I think you're fighting all 3 of these guys. There's 1, 2, 3.
It's good.
There we go. Yeah. There we go.
Remember how those fall out so you can drop them back in.
2 is check your shift fork. Make sure you don't bend the shift fork.
Right. That's what we're actually waiting on.
You doing aftermarket forks?
No, I was just gonna replace it with another one, and so actually it should be this one. That should be our 1, 2. 3, 4, and 5, 6.
Tape in there.
This is definitely the part of the speed sensor that, yeah. It used to be one.
Dang, it's not a lot of weld on there.
No, but
Still
it's all
on there.
intact.
Looks way better than mine.
Hey, proportionately, our weld is all right. You know, it's a smaller car, you know, smaller weld.
I mean,
Mine's a little.
you can only weld them once. You can't like re-weld them. So, you know, I always.
Well,
We have others at the table that disagree.
we've done it. Didn't last, but I mean, we did.
What did you weld?
Remember Quicksilver? It broke and then we welded and it broke again.
I mean, he's saying you can do it. He didn't say it was right.
You're really flexing your ability on us.
All right, well,
So we'll clean this up and wait for new parts. And
yeah, should have it in a day or
this
two.
is gonna go in that training.
Yes, sir. So actually, we got to do
Again.
the same thing right there.
It is, but sometimes they're one piece, the gear and the synchros in one, or you can. It's a slip deal. You can pull the gear off and just replace this piece.
I just need to make sure if we're getting a new gear, we're getting the synchro with it, not just the gear.
Okay, so this is our
This is
torn up
your
one.
second gear. See how flat all your edges are.
Yeah, they
See
got
how,
no
like-
point like any of those or.
See how like these all come to a point.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's causing you not to be able to, you know, it just clicking into gear on the table. It goes into gear, but when everything's spinning, you know, you have this spins on this gear while this gear's kind of in there floating, and then you try to pull it down when all it says moving, and it doesn't have enough of an edge to kind of just fall on the gear.
Our synchros right here actually.
That's your brass, and this is your synchro deal, yeah. So what can happen though is these don't just wear out. Like something causes this. So there's a issue up the chain that's caused this to happen. Because when you put it in, it shifted fine, right?
Mm-hmm. Right,
And
but
then over time, with trying to
this had to have some sort of something.
speed sensor,
Well, this thing came apart and went through, so obviously it.
yeah, but it getting in here and wiping this out is very slim chance. Like this is from either like hydraulic issue to where like the clutch is still trying to spin the transmission and you can't get it into gear. And
Yeah.
you're just repetitively making it grind.
And that happened many
or
times.
if the linkage is, or if your shift fork's twisted
Mm-hmm.
and you know it's pulling on it crooked, will eat this up. Or if you're not getting full throw with the shifter, can cause it to eat up.
Clutch delay valve that was in the factory or on the factory slave was, you know, somebody was like, hey, we got to change this, and then, you know, we made the decision, hey, let's just try and run it as it is because we couldn't find parts at the time, and I believe that is what led to this. However, I'm just trying to be 100% that there was nothing else that could have caused this. But I mean, at the moment, your 1-2 is the fastest shift, so more than likely that is probably it.
Repetitiveness of it not wanting to go in and you just trying to fight it.
Yeah, and every single person that drove it missed second gear repeatedly.
I want to say I'm going to lean more towards you have a it's not pulling this straight. Look at the angle in which it folded every ear over.
They're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what causes that is your shift
And we're
fork
trying
being
to-
twisted and it's only trying to pull down on one side. It's pulling this collar crooked.
Well, shouldn't that be just the way that it's spinning? So it should be spinning this
Well, if
way.
it's spinning, the thing is if it's spinning and you're pulling this down and it's not engaging, it's going to wear them flat. If you're pulling this down crooked and the thing's spinning, it's going to chew it on an angle. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
I mean, it's a forward gear. It's only going to spin one way. So if
Understand.
this is pulling straight and just not engaging, it's
Yeah.
going to wear flat. See how they're all worn the same on that angle? Guarantee that shift fork's bent and it's pulling it down like this
Okay.
versus straight. Because if I pull this straight, it goes into gear.
Mm-hmm.
You try to pull it crooked and it stops.
So guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us with this whole build. And as this thing progresses to the next chapter of this build, we've got our work cut out for us. We got a number of different things of which we're diving in head first. Even though we don't totally know exactly what we're doing, we got a lot of good people around us that we can help find the right answers. And heck, the internet is a freaking awesome place where you can find a lot of information. What do you say, Laz?
Do it once, do it twice, you get better the second time.
Is that the quote of the day? So guys, come on back. We're going to have a bunch more stuff coming at you for Cater Tot. This thing is going to be back together and badder than ever. We wanted to say a huge thank you to K-Tune for all of the support. These parts are awesome on this car, and we're so looking forward to having this thing up and running and ripping again. I almost forgot to mention, to all of you guys that ordered your Cater Tot shirts, they are finally in and they will be shipping out right now, today. So thank you guys so much. Do check out the link in the description. These things look awesome in person. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with a song suggestion, something that is near and dear to my heart, something that I listened to yesterday and was like, man, I gotta put that on here. And that is ZZ Top, LaGrange. I hope you guys enjoy. God bless you. We'll see you next episode.